Afternoon, everybody. Green tea in hand. Today's live video. Shall we wait to see if we can start building an audience? Shall we? Hang on a minute. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Anyway, so I'm going to get cracking with this live video today. It's Friday. I've been carb loading today in preparation for my marathon on Sunday. Controlled carb load. Trying to get the maximum number of calories in and carbs in I need to without obviously making myself fat, because I will gain weight like a mofo because I am an ex-fat bloke. So let's wait a minute. Let's just see where we're building this audience for me, so we can get some people on to share some wisdom. Right. So what I'm going to talk about today is positive thinking. Positive thinking and my journey with it, and how I've kind of evolved with it, because years and years ago I used to think that positive thinking was how you got things done, or thinking positive, and it's interesting how that oftentimes what you see is the people who are posting the positive stuff and the memes and all that sort of stuff on social media are rarely the people who actually get anything done. Because, as we've said this week already, doing the work and doing what's required, you don't always need to be positive, you just need to do what you need to do. And sometimes positive thinking can make you deluded and lazy, because it stops you doing the work that's needed in order to get results. So just being positive and thinking positive, number one, thinking doesn't do anything. Thinking is just thinking. And thinking doesn't equal action, okay? So you can have a face like a smacked arse if you want, as long as you're doing the required work necessary to help you achieve your goals. So being positive is not a prerequisite for action. And secondly, being overly positive, what that can do is that can make you a little bit deluded about the fact that sometimes stuff goes sideways and life goes wrong. And no matter how much positivity you've got, how positive you are, isn't going to make the shit stuff that happens in life any better. So positive thinking can really make you lazy and also make you a bit deluded. There's a difference between being optimistic and you know, being grateful and thinking that everything's going to turn out okay, because as long as you're alive, it normally does. But being just overly positive all the time, what that does is that can blindside you to the often negative realities of life. And I kind of know from my own experiences, sort of a few years ago when I was stuck, I was like, well, I'm a positive person and I'm a happy person and I'm doing all these things. But the truth was, I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't doing what was needed. I was thinking that just being positive and, you know, and I've heard it also called entitled, as in I'm entitled to results because I'm positive, wasn't getting the job done. So it's often interesting how, I've said this before, how I'll see the positive quotes on Facebook or Instagram, wherever it might be, on all this, how everything's wonderful, and then a few months later I'll get the message saying I hate myself, I need help, and all this sort of stuff. It's quite funny how that often happens, because what happens in reality is life's not always positive. Sometimes it's horrible. I've said this before, and it's important because people look at me and say I'm not positive like you. I ain't positive. I just get the work done and I'm clear on what's needed. Yeah, and if I'm not clear, I'll find out. And that isn't positivity, that is finding out, that's learning. Yeah, that isn't a picture you put on social media, that isn't a comment, that isn't a quote, that isn't a whatever. That isn't a video, a motivational video. It's finding out what's needed and then doing the work that's needed to get you to wherever it is you need to get. Yeah? And that doesn't involve positivity always. Sometimes that involves negativity. One of the most powerful things that got me started when I first lost weight was disgust. I was disgusted with myself. I was disgusted with the fact that I was doing my laces up on my spare bed and I was out of breath at 27 because I couldn't get over my belly. I was disgusted with myself. I was disgusted with myself that I was absolutely on my arse skint yeah, and in bad shape. Yeah, I was disgusted with myself. Now, that's not positive. I didn't feel positive about myself. I felt negative. But that negative emotion, those negative feelings, pushed me to make a change. It didn't push me to write quotes down. It didn't push me to put pictures on Facebook. It pushed me to change. And change isn't always about positivity. Sometimes change is when you feel like shit and you've got to make a change. And you can't wait for positivity to come along, where you can't just think positive. You've got to act. You've got to do things. Now, I'm not saying that, positive thinking is a bad thing, and I'm not saying that being a genuinely happy person is a bad thing. What I'm saying is sometimes shit's going to go sideways, and you need to act irrespective of whether you feel positive or negative. A few years ago, I went to a presentation, and a couple of guys, they'd written a book, and it was a sales book, actually. I think I've still got it on the shelf. And one of the things these guys said was, don't do positive, don't do negative, just do business. Yeah? And it stuck with me, because it was actually saying, well, just do the business, do the work that's needed, get clear on what's required, and then put the work in to get the job done. Don't wait for positivity. Because I once had a chat with someone a few years ago, and it will stick with me, where when you asked them what they were doing, their answer was, I'm being positive. Right? Let's break it down. What are you doing? Ask me, what am I doing? What action have I taken? What action am I taking in order to get my work done? And in some cases, what action am I not taking? As in, I'm relaxing or resting or recovering or whatever it might be. Yeah? As I said this week, people said to me, are you ready for the marathon? And I'm like, well, yeah, because I've done the work. Don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. Grace of God, weather, don't know. But I'm ready because I've done the work. I don't need to be positive. I've done the work. Yeah, I'll have sort of, I'll be a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive because it's a big thing. But I've done the work. It's just fine tuning. I've done it. And it doesn't mean I'm not thinking positive about Sunday. I've done the work. Yeah? Which, I don't know, that gives me competence, like I said the other day. So I'm competent in my ability because I've done the work. Not positive, competent. And competence takes time and effort, not positivity. Yeah? If you're positive along the way, great. But thinking positive keeps you thinking. And if you're thinking, you're not doing. You're not doing. Yeah? And like I said yesterday, there's this modern epidemic of saying one thing and doing another. Yeah? I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow then. Or, I'll come for your free trial week next week. Great. Tuesday. Yeah, come on. I'll be there on Tuesday. Brilliant. Just not turn up and that's okay. When you're pissing and moaning that you're out of shape, or you're not where you want to be financially, or you're not where you want to be in your relationship, yeah? But you say one thing and do another. Same thing. Not positive, turn up. Because if you're waiting to be positive or waiting to be motivated, like I've said before, it's not going to happen. So, all this together, key message. There's nothing wrong with being upbeat, and there's nothing wrong with occasionally being a positive person. But if you are just constantly trying to be positive all the time, it can make you deluded, and it can make you lazy, and it can make you not act because you are just thinking and being positive and hoping, like that law of attraction stuff from a few years ago, where people were crossing their fingers and hoping for a new bike because of The Secret. New bike, new bike, new bike. Don't work like that. You've got to do the work. Yeah? You've got to do the work. Hoping and wishing in some contexts is great, but in a lot of ways, it makes you deluded and makes you lazy. You're successful based on what you learn, and based on what you apply, and based on what you learn from what you apply, and then you apply again and learn again. And it's that process. And that's got nothing to do with positivity. That's got to do with clarity first, work second. Clarity and work. And work isn't always positive. The clue's in the title. It's work. It's supposed to be work. Yeah? So that's the key point. So, I'd love to hear your comments below about that. What do you think about that? Positivity makes you deluded and lazy. It's an interesting point. So I'm off to... I'm not going to eat anything for the time being. I'm going to eat later. So no more food for me for now, but I'll have some more carb loading later, and I'm going to get ready and do more work to get me ready for my marathon. Peace out.